Hey, good evening. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Gadi Schwartz, coming from Los Angeles, and here are the stories we're watching tonight, starting with the largest healthcare worker strike in U.S. history happening right now.
When I say Kaiser, you say shame. Kaiser! Shame. Kaiser! Shame. When I say Kaiser, you say green. Kaiser! Green. Kaiser! Green. Kaiser! Green.
Kaiser Permanente used to be considered one of the best places to work in the healthcare industry. Now there are picket lines in front of their hospitals. We're going to have a report. Plus, the race is on to find the next House Speaker, and now some Republicans are tossing around a very familiar name.
A lot of people have been calling me about Speaker. All I can say is we'll do whatever is best for the country and for the Republican Party.
So is that even possible? The short answer is yes. We're going to explain. And Tupac's murder suspect makes his first court appearance. We're going to tell you why the hearing was cut short. And the epic collapse of FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried culminates in what prosecutors are calling one of the biggest financial fraud cases in U.S. history. It's a strike with some pretty serious consequences. Tens of thousands of healthcare workers have walked off the job, which could jeopardize medical appointments and delay prescriptions for patients all across the country. Now, workers say it's because of a breakdown in contract negotiations with Kaiser Permanente. Now, about 65 of the 75,000 picketers are based here in California. We are talking nurses, x-ray techs, respiratory therapists, receptionists, who all say the staffing shortages are a serious crisis for them and their patients.
We want to put our patients first. At the same time, also what's fair, what's right. With the economy, with the inflation, able to provide for our family, but being able to still give quality of care.
Now, a lot of patients are feeling the effects of this strike as well. One mom, Tiffany, says her toddler there needs an ear tube surgery because he gets chronic ear infections. A Kaiser Healthcare Center rescheduled her son's surgery for December, blaming the strike.
I know it's a minor surgery, but to a parent and seeing your baby hit his ears and crying, it's heartbreaking just having to wait another 2 months. And it's at this point, we don't know what to do because I've had Kaiser my whole life.
And that's just one of the many stories we are starting to hear as this walkout continues. NBC's David Noriega has more from the picket lines.
In a year of labor unrest, a new record, the largest medical workers' strike in American history. Nurses, techs, janitors, the people who make a hospital run, walking off the job for 3 days by the tens of thousands in 5 states and Washington, D.C. They're demanding higher pay and better staffing from Kaiser Permanente, the largest medical group in the U.S. Rocio Chacon, a lead negotiator for the union, says Kaiser has not been bargaining in good faith.
I'm tired of seeing a short-staffing hospital. I'm sick and tired of coming to the table and Kaiser not showing up.
Kaiser! Kaiser!
Kaiser used to be considered one of the best places to work in healthcare. It offered good pay and unusually good relations between labor and management. Clearly, that's broken down.
It used to be Kaiser was a place everyone wanted to work at, but now it's not.
James Bell is an x-ray technician who's worked at Kaiser in the LA area for over 20 years.
Everyone is being asked to do more and more and more with less and less.
How do these staffing shortages affect the patients?
They're made to wait longer for just basic care.
The union says the key to solving the staffing crisis is obvious: better money. They're asking for a 27% increase over 4 years, or about 6% a year. Kaiser is offering about half that. With bargaining stalled, Kaiser hired non-union temp workers to minimize disruptions. Now, executives say that wages aside, the two parties aren't so far apart.
You're saying the company and the unions agree on the staffing question?
We agree that it's a crisis.
Kaiser says it does a better job than others at retaining workers, partly because of their above-market pay. In California, they say 20% above market.
We're committed to that, but we also have to balance that with the affordability of healthcare, which is actually its own crisis.
For union members in an industry in rough shape, better than average is not good enough.
Well, that just means that they suck less. That does not mean that they're doing better. They just are not as bad.
If this 3-day strike doesn't get the workers what they're asking for, they're planning to walk out again in November, this time for 5 days, upping the ante in an already high-stakes contest.
And NBC's David Noriega joins us now. David, what kind of impact is this going to have on people who need medical attention?
So yeah, Gadi, Kaiser is managing to keep all of these facilities open, including, for example, this hospital here in LA where we are right now. That's because they hired temporary non-union workers to fill in during the strike. That means people who need emergency care will be able to get the care that they need, some version of the care that they need. However, there still are disruptions. For example, a lot of people with elective surgeries had to get those postponed. You know, this strike is meant to be disruptive. The union wants to show how much Kaiser needs these workers in there doing their job every day, and the patients are going to feel that. Gadi?
It would seem as though we've entered this time in which so many strikes are happening all across the board. Do you think that we could see more strikes in healthcare?
Yeah, Gadi, for sure. So this strike is happening, as you said, in a context of really intense labor militancy across the country and across industries. And what's interesting is that I've asked several of the striking healthcare workers about this, and they're all very conscious of that. They say that they look at other strikers. For example, the WGA strike here in LA, they see the way that that strike ended, and they're sort of inspired by it. They want this strike to get something similar, specifically for the highest level executives of the company to sit down in a room with them and hash things out until they're done. As far as other strikes in the healthcare sector specifically, that's already happening. We've seen multiple, much smaller but still significant healthcare strikes already this year. And Kaiser workers themselves, if they don't get Kaiser back in the room to negotiate, you know, in good faith, as they put it, with this 3-day strike, they're prepared to walk out once again for 5 days in the first week of November.
So as it stands right now, this strike is 3 days with another one possibly looming.
That's right. The strike will last until Saturday. The workers that I'm speaking to say that the goal of the strike is not even necessarily to get Kaiser to achieve certain levels, specific levels in pay or staffing or anything like that. It's just to force them back in the room with a little bit more urgency, with more serious proposals. They could still meet somewhere in the middle. It's just about sort of changing the terms of the negotiation.
David Noriega, thanks so much. Now let's go to Washington now, where Capitol Hill is still reeling from that historic and that chaotic night after Congressman Kevin McCarthy became the first House Speaker to be fired from his Speaker post. And he was since made it clear that he will not be running again. Take a listen.
I will not run for Speaker again. I'll have the conference pick somebody else. I hope you realize that every day I did the job, regardless whether you underestimated me or not, I wanted to do it with a smile.
Meanwhile, voters in McCarthy's district here in California are sounding off about the whole situation.
I think they've shot themselves in the foot. I think they've made a big mistake.
It just looks like we have 7 far-right nutcases running the country right now.
He just got canned? Who's going to replace him? That doesn't make any sense.
And that is the question right there that's on everyone's mind. Who is going to replace him? And right now, technically, it's a caretaker speaker, Patrick McHenry, a Republican from North Carolina. But that does not mean he's going to be the next speaker, though. Other Republicans are kind of tiptoeing towards that job, like Congressman Jim Jordan of Ohio, Congressman Steve Scalise of Louisiana. And there are more names being tossed around, including former President Donald Trump. Yeah, you heard that right, because it turns out the House Speaker doesn't actually have to be serving in the House. Trump was asked about that earlier today.
All I can say is we'll do whatever's best for the country and for the Republican Party. My focus is totally on that. If I can help them during the process, I would do it. But we have some great people in the Republican Party that could do a great job as Speaker.
And speaking of that plot twist, let's bring in NBC Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles. Ryan, starting right there, can Trump be Speaker? It sounds bonkers, but is this even possible?
It is possible. It is still very unlikely. I mean, technically, Gadi, you could be the next Speaker of the House if you had enough votes. It does not need to be a member of Congress. They can literally elect any American citizen that they would like. But it does seem like that would be a very tall order in order to pull off. First of all, there's no real indication that Donald Trump actually wants the job. And while he is certainly beloved by many in the House Republican Conference, it seems unlikely that he would be able to marshal the votes necessary to secure the speakership. So I think in many ways this is probably just a way to gin up interest from some of these members of Congress who have very rabid followings among the MAGA crowd, maybe even raise a little bit of money. But in many ways, it's fan fiction. I can say pretty confidently that Donald Trump won't end up becoming the next Speaker of the House.
So how did today go? I mean, so many people saw McHenry just slamming that gavel.
Yeah.
Wondering how his mood is today. Did he come to work?
Yeah, Patrick McHenry was here. He came in and out of the Speaker's office, which he'll temporarily hold on to quite a few times today. And there were actually quite a few members of the House of Representatives that were up here on Capitol Hill because there were a ton of meetings that were happening behind closed doors as they try and figure out who has the potential to garner enough votes to become the next Speaker. For instance, the Texas delegation, which has the biggest group, the biggest block of Republican House members in one collection, they held a meeting of their delegation and listened to some of the pitches from some of these members that are considering it. Both Jim Jordan and Steve Scalise, who are the two leading candidates, went and made their pitch to those groups. So a lot of what's going to play out here, Gadi, is going to happen on the phone, through text messages, and behind closed doors until they're back here officially on Tuesday. That's when they'll have a meeting behind closed doors with just the conference and try and hash it out like a family to figure out who they think the next Speaker should be.
Meanwhile, what's McCarthy been up to?
We haven't seen too much of him. Right now he's just a rank and file member of Congress. He's been very coy about whether or not he'll remain in Congress. Traditionally, what's happened is when a leader loses that leadership post, whether through elections or because there's pressure for them to step down, they usually step down from their leadership post and then just retire outright from Congress. That's something that we saw John Boehner do when Paul Ryan stepped away from the speakership. He did not run for re-election, and he left Congress as well. That trend's changed a little bit. We saw Nancy Pelosi stick around as a rank-and-file member of Congress after she stepped down from her leadership post. Right now, Kevin McCarthy's not making it clear what his future is. It's important to point out, though, Gadi, if he were to step down, that would put the Republicans down a vote for however long it would take for them to replace him in California. So there is the very real possibility that he'll just be hanging around, but this time only with just one vote and not the control of the entire conference.
And Ryan, the government, they're still scheduled to run out of funding on November 17th, right? And the House is leaving for a week, so trying to do some math here. What are the major things that are being held up because of all this chaos?
Yeah, probably a lot of your viewers are sitting at home wondering, what does all this palace intrigue have to do with me? This just sounds like a soap opera. And they're right that it is a soap opera and there is a lot of palace intrigue, but that palace intrigue has real world consequences. It was just a couple of days ago that we were staring down the barrel of a government shutdown, which would have led to millions of federal workers losing out on paychecks and government services being delayed. Well, that's a real possibility again, only 44 days from now. And they can't even begin the conversation of passing long-term budget bills until there's a Speaker of the House in place. Keep this in mind, Gadi. The House had originally canceled their recess. They were supposed to be off the first 2 weeks of October so that they could deal with the budget crisis. Instead, they're dealing with a Speaker crisis. So they can't even begin those conversations until there's a Speaker in place at the earliest next week. And that means that when we get closer and closer to November 17th, there's going to be the real possibility that we're worried once again that the government could shut down.
Ryan Noble's out on Capitol Hill for us. Ryan, thanks so much for being with us. And it's not every day you hear a lawyer defend their client by calling them a math nerd. But that's what we heard from the lawyer for Sam Bankman-Fried today in opening statements in that crypto fraud trial over billions of dollars. His attorney saying it wasn't SBF, but his girlfriend that is to blame. Prosecutors, on the other hand, accused Bankman-Fried of stealing from customers and lying to investors. Bankman-Fried is accused of allegedly masterminding one of the biggest financial frauds in U.S. history, the collapse of his crypto empire, which was once valued at $32 billion. NBC's Jake Ward joins us now. Jake, if you listen to the prosecutors here, they are painting SBF as this fraud calculating mastermind. If you listen to the defense, he's kind of like this young, careless startup founder. What kind of evidence do you think we're going to start seeing here?
Well, it's all about intent in this case, Gadi. I mean, what we're looking at here is, a case in which no one disputes what happened, right? A run on the bank wiped out billions of dollars. The question becomes, did Sam Bankman-Fried intentionally play around with the odds and put himself in a position where he was essentially just treating customer deposits as his own piggy bank? That's what the prosecution is alleging here, and they're going to draw on all sorts of people, both inside and outside his circle. They've already called today one brokerage customer who talked about not being able to get money out of there. They're also now speaking to Adam Yedidia, who was a former MIT friend of Sam Bankman-Fried's, who talks about the internal workings of the organization, the $35 million spent on a Bahamas house. All of that is an attempt to basically, show this guy as someone who sort of in a calculated way played around with the odds and faked everybody out. But the defense is basically arguing, no, this is just the nature of startups. At one point, the defense basically said, this is like trying to build a plane while flying it. That's a thing that I hear from tech entrepreneurs all the time, that's what you do in startups. He essentially is saying, as you said, this was a math nerd who just, in a good faith way was just taking big gambles, but trying in a good faith way to build a real company here, and it just went wrong on him. It's that sort of, the contrast between the intent behind those two kinds of characters that the defense and the prosecution are trying to portray that's going to determine what kind of result we get here, Gadi.
Not to oversimplify, and there are so many differences here, but didn't the tech startup entrepreneur just winging it defense kind of go sideways when it came to Elizabeth Holmes and Theranos?
Well, that's right. Exactly. I mean, we had in that case another case in which someone basically said, we're just doing what all startup founders do. We're just moving forward as fast as we can. We're putting the pieces together while we're in mid-flight. And of course, Elizabeth Holmes is currently in prison. She'll be there for 11 years. There are some differences here, right? She was dealing in HIPAA-protected privacy. She was dealing in medical results, right? And all of that, I think, probably takes her case to a slightly more intense level there. Also, she's a female founder. I don't think we should overlook the possibility that there's some sort of double standard there. But here, we're talking obviously about billions and billions of dollars. It is unclear whether this idea that we can just sort of count this as a sort of, careless set of startup entrepreneur mistakes is going to protect Sam Bankman-Fried from a government that is accusing him of intentionally stealing billions and billions of dollars, Gadi.
And then there are all of the receipts that, I mean, for like a normal person, you see receipts for like the house you were just talking about, $35 million in the Bahamas, those kind of things that are just fascinating insights. What are you going to be looking for in the coming days and weeks of this trial?
Well, it's definitely the insiders, right? We already know that the three associates of Sam Bankman-Fried who were charged themselves with fraud have agreed to cooperate with the government, and they presumably will be called as witnesses. From then, we're going to hear all kinds of things. One of them, Carolyn Ellison, was also romantically linked to Sam Bankman-Fried, so she's going to know what, his inner state like almost nobody else, right? There's all kinds of stuff that I think we're going to get out of their testimony that we're going to be able to see. But already with just brokerage customers and a former friend from MIT, we're already starting to see a lot of details about this world. And as you say, it is mind-blowing how much money was being spent, the kinds of big risks that are going to be taken, and whether those three who presumably are coming up in the coming days, whether they shed more light on intent here, I think will be a big, big deciding factor in whether the prosecution succeeds here, Gadi.
Fascinating stuff. Jake Ward, thanks so much. All right, we've got a lot more ahead. 27 years after Tupac was killed, a suspect was in court today for his murder. And Donald Trump was back in court today for his fraud trial, well, at least part of the day. We're going to tell you what happened before he decided to leave, and that's coming up, so stay tuned. Hey, welcome back. And here are some of the other headlines we're watching tonight. Baltimore police are still searching for the suspects who hurt 5 people in a shooting at Morgan State University last night. Now, this all happened during the school's homecoming week, and here's what students had to say.
I shouldn't have to fear for my safety or have to worry about if I'm even safe in my own building. I've heard that there were gunshots inside of the building. Like, all of this is crazy.
Police say the victims were likely caught in the middle of a fight and were not the intended targets. All 5 people are going to be okay. The Biden administration is canceling an additional $9 billion in student debt for 125,000 borrowers. Now, this relief is for certain people like those working in public service and for borrowers with disabilities. It comes just days after student loan repayments started up again after a 3-year pause. Now, the Supreme Court just started hearing a case that asks whether Americans with disabilities can sue hotels who don't disclose accessibility information online, even if they don't plan on booking with them. Advocates say this info is crucial so people don't show up to hotels without things like ramps and roll-in bathrooms. And that alert that suddenly started blaring from your phone earlier today, yeah, the one that made you jump, that was just a drill, so don't worry. You probably got a text message like that, too. The government says it was just testing its emergency alert systems. And Uber is now offering to take your packages to the post office, to UPS or FedEx. And that new service will let you send up to 5 prepaid and sealed packages with a driver for a $5 fee. It's rolling out in nearly 5,000 cities to start. And if you were expecting a quiet day at Trump court today, think again. On day 3 of the civil fraud trial against former President Donald Trump, fireworks came from both sides. NBC's Lindsay Reiser explains.
The former president left the courtroom and left the state, flying back to Florida after the lunch recess. But things got very fiery in the courtroom prior to that. The judge getting frustrated with the line of questioning of Donald Bender, Trump's former accountant, who was on the stand for cross-examination. The judge felt it was getting repetitive, going after property year after year. At one point yelling, saying, "This is ridiculous." The former president's attorney saying, "These are the charges brought. This is our chance to defend our client," and saying that Bender seemed to be only recalling things the government wanted him to recall. Now, that was inside the courtroom. Outside the courtroom, the former president again railed against the entire process, criticizing the attorney general. And then the attorney general had heard say in front of the cameras as well. Let's listen to both.
I'm here, stuck here, and I can't campaign. I'd rather be right now in Iowa. I'd rather be in New Hampshire, South Carolina, or Ohio, or a lot of other places, but I'm stuck here because I have a corrupt attorney general, and the judge already knows what he's going to do. He's a Democrat judge. In all fairness to him, he has no choice. He has no choice. He's run by the Democrats.
Mr. Trump's comments were offensive. They were baseless. They were void of any facts and/or any evidence. I will not be bullied. And so Mr. Trump is no longer here. The Donald Trump show is over.
The former president not compelled to be here until he is called to testify, so he can be out on the campaign trail. And he is fundraising off of this, sending out emails to his supporters. And we're not sure if the attorney general is going to be in court again tomorrow. But today, before court adjourned, we also heard from another witness, another accountant who had worked for the Trump organization. And this was the first time that the former president's adult sons, Eric and Don Jr., were brought into the trial. Remember, they are defendants in this civil case as well. So we can expect to hear more. It's confusing. We're going to hear from more cross-examination from the first witness, Bender, once again tomorrow in court. Back to you.
Lindsay, thanks so much. And the man suspected of helping kill Tupac Shakur made an appearance in court today. Investigators say Dwayne Keefe D. Davis orchestrated the whole thing 27 years ago. And since then, he's actually talked about Tupac's death publicly and even touching on his role in the shooting. NBC's Dana Griffith joins us now. Dana, okay, this I'm obsessed with this case. What happened in court today?
It's interesting. So the court case lasted less than 2 minutes because you have to have an attorney present for an arraignment to continue. He didn't have an attorney, or at least his attorney was not available to be there. So the judge set the court date out to October 19th. Now, Davis said that he has secured Los Angeles attorney Edie Fall, who has been involved in other high-profile cases involving Tupac, Rodney King, and Biggie, according to his website. So Keefe D will be held without bail. He is charged with murder with a deadly weapon to promote a criminal gang.
Now, I've been trying to figure out why now. I mean, he's talked to BET, he's talked to all kinds of people about what his role was that night, kind of slyly, and I've been like, why has law enforcement not moved in? Then I find out about this deal that was made between him and law enforcement 14 years ago. How did that go?
Okay, let me break that down. So he was facing a federal drug charge. It was pretty serious. So LAPD said, hey, tell us what you know about the Tupac murder, and we won't use what you say against you. So that's why he spilled the beans. And even during that LAPD interview, he said, you know, if we had rolled up and Tupac was on my side of the vehicle, I would have, quote, popped him, is what he said. So he has admitted publicly, not only in his memoir, but other media interviews, that he was involved. And I'm guessing Las Vegas police managed to secure enough evidence to say, okay, we can go with this because he has talked about it numerous times. And maybe something else comes out that has been the missing puzzle piece for the last 3 decades. We'll see.
So almost like Las Vegas comes in and they're like, no, we're not LAPD. We didn't make this.
Exactly, because this agreement does not give you immunity from the Las Vegas case. So this guy must have thought that, hey, I've got this agreement, I'm untouchable. In this case, clearly he's not.
Do you think LAPD realized that, oh, this guy was actually like a lot more involved than they might have thought?
Yeah, because LAPD said they have known all these years who was involved, but we talked about this on Friday. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. So maybe there was something that they couldn't use against him, because remember, because he told him on himself back in 2009, they could not use that testimony or that recording in any charges. So until then, they have not been able to bring any charges against this guy.
And the LAPD connection to all of this, that's a time for a whole other story.
Right.
But I do want to ask, what is Tupac Shakur's family saying about all this?
So they are elated to finally have someone in custody being charged for the murder of their brother, but it also comes with some skepticism. Listen to what his brother told the Today Show.
The family is in shock. It's been a long time, and we haven't had much communication from the authorities. We've had a lot of questions. So it's good to feel like there's some accountability. But we still have a lot of questions, like what happened, why now? We're also being cautious because the timing is curious. You know, why now? The guy's been there the whole time.
Yeah, why now?
So you can understand their skepticism. Even his sister, Sakiwa, she wrote in a statement, you know, the arrest is a victory, but she's going to reserve judgment. And they say that several hands have been involved here, and they want justice on all fronts.
That's so smart, because this is a family that's been dealing with like everything from Tupac conspiracy theories to people who had nothing to do with it, claiming responsibility for clout. I mean, this is a family that's been through all of it, right?
Yeah, so they really want to sit in that courtroom, if this goes to trial, hear all the evidence so that they can feel a sense of peace that, okay, they got the right guy. And so that's why she says she's going to reserve judgment until we get through these court proceedings before, I guess, she decides whether she believes it or not.
All right, so we're like in Chapter 5, the court proceedings. Chapter 6 is maybe who killed Biggie?
I hopefully, and maybe we'll learn something through this trial, because we're told that there's a much larger conspiracy here involving this case. It's not just that one night where you had the fight and this retaliatory murder of one of the greatest rappers alive.
Yeah, so much connected there. Dana, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And coming up, we are getting new details today about the man suspected of snatching a 9-year-old girl in New York while she was on a bike ride. But first, you gotta see this. Let the voting begin. It is Fat Bear Week. It's an annual competition to crown the chunkiest, hunkiest of all the brown bears feasting on salmon to fatten up for the winter. Alaska Park Rangers selected 12 bears in Katmai Park for the bracket, and today voting is open to everyone to view at home right now. Otis is the overall MVP, but Chunker Yearling could knock him from the top. The 2023 champion will be announced next week on Fat Bear Tuesday. May the bulkiest bear win. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back. And here are some of the stories happening out west that we're following tonight. A Manhattan Beach police officer was killed this morning in a crash aboard his motorcycle. The officer's name was Chad Swanson. He was a 13-year veteran of the department, and right now we don't know what caused the crash. But California Highway Patrol says the officer might have been hit by a speeding car. Also, tragic to note, that officer had survived that 2017 mass shooting in Las Vegas that killed nearly 60 people and was hailed as a hero for helping people after that massacre. And out here in Southern California, there was this wild police chase on Monday that started with a woman suspected of stealing a utility truck that ended 3 counties later in a Denny's parking lot. She blew through that chain link fence there, smashed through a bunch of trees before finally being arrested after 2 hours of that chase. Amazingly, no one was hurt. And in Oregon today, a plane suddenly dropped out of the sky. You can see it there. It slammed through the roof of a nearby house. Several people were actually inside that home when the crash happened. They were able to make it out okay, but 2 of the 3 people inside that plane died. The third is reportedly in serious condition. Federal authorities have stepped in to investigate what happened. And tonight, we are learning more details about the safe rescue of 9-year-old Charlotte Senna. She was kidnapped from a state park in upstate New York on Saturday. On Monday, she was reunited with her family, and now the suspect in her abduction, a man named Craig Nelson Ross Jr., is behind bars. But how did police track him down? NBC's Kathy Park takes us inside the investigation.
New details coming into focus after the remarkable rescue of 9-year-old Charlotte Senna, who vanished from a park in upstate New York while camping with her family.
I was shocked.
Police releasing this mugshot of 46-year-old Craig Nelson Ross Jr., who's accused of kidnapping Charlotte and leaving a ransom note at her family's home. According to an arraignment memo, the suspect wanted money in exchange for Charlotte's return. He's now in jail without bail, charged with first-degree kidnapping, and authorities say additional charges are likely.
There's still a lot of searches underway. The home that he was registered to, a lot of information, and so you want to make sure that he's not connected with any other cases.
Authorities say Ross Jr. left behind his fingerprint on the ransom note, a critical clue that matched a 1999 DWI. The breakthrough allowed SWAT teams to zero in on a camper behind the suspect's mother's home. That's where they found the girl, hidden inside a cupboard. Investigators combing through the scene Tuesday, collecting evidence.
She appeared to be outwardly physically unharmed at the time.
Charlotte's family telling NBC News, "We are thrilled that she is home, and we understand that the outcome is not what every family gets." At least 400 people worked around the clock to find the 4th grader, including members of the Schenectady Fire Department. Fire Chief Don Moreno says the case was personal because Charlotte's uncle is one of their own.
Everybody was concerned. Everybody was upset. The range of emotions were, tremendous, to shock, to anger.
Now relief and gratitude with Charlotte back in the arms of family.
The outcome was great, and everybody's elated today.
The answer to so many prayers. NBC's Kathy Park, thanks so much. And in tonight's temperature check, people in New York are still talking about last week's flooding brought on by one of the wettest days in the city's history. But the question that many seem to be asking now is, are places like New York ready for the climate future that might already be here? NBC's national climate reporter Chase Kane takes a look.
Friday's floods across New York City broke records again. Brooklyn got 30 days of rain in just 3 hours. With nearly 9 inches in total, it was the wettest day ever recorded at JFK Airport, flooding nearby LaGuardia and subway lines across the city.
And I'm really disgusted by it because you can't even get home.
We're in fear about our homes, the property, the structure.
At Central Park, the 3 heaviest hours of rainfall ever recorded have now happened 3 times in just 2 years. Henri and Ida in 2021 and again on Friday. Across the country, there's been a surge of days like this since 1950. And although extreme rainfall is up nationwide, it's increasing the most in the Midwest and Northeast. And that's what we can expect more of with climate change. For every degree of warming, the atmosphere holds 4% more moisture. So if you think of the atmosphere, clouds, as like a sponge holding moisture and then wringing it out as rain, as we burn more fossil fuels and the hotter the atmosphere gets, that's like having an even bigger sponge holding even more moisture and dumping even heavier rainfall.
When it comes down to a given storm system, it's not clear that storms will have the same structure in the future as they do at present. There's some evidence they'll become more compact and more intense. And that means that would be a second factor favoring more intense rainfall on top of just the warmer temperatures.
The other problem with the atmosphere soaking up more moisture is that water vapor is also a naturally occurring greenhouse gas. It traps heat. So if humans keep heating the planet, it will drive unnatural amounts of water vapor, a feedback loop creating even more warming. The solutions we need are both short-term and long-term. We'll have to invest in expanding and improving our community's stormwater systems to minimize flooding, but at the same time, we need to reduce and eliminate carbon emissions to stop the warming and limit that feedback loop with more and more water vapor, basically keeping that sponge from getting any larger. In New York, I'm National Climate Reporter Chase Kane.
Chase, thanks so much. I'm not going to look at a sponge the same way. Thanks again. Now, family histories can be fascinating and complex, but imagine you found out that your ancestors were once enslaved by a current congressman's ancestors, and that is a story that is actually not entirely uncommon. NBC's Blaine Alexander spoke with one woman who was stunned when she found out about her family's past.
In the sprawling fields of rural Tennessee, where thousands of Black Americans were once enslaved, Lucretia Johnson Flash feels living history.
My people are buried here.
As head of diversity and inclusion at a college, she has spent years working against slavery's lasting impact. Today, a typical white family in the U.S. is 8 times wealthier than a typical Black family.
The dynamics are still very much present with us.
A recent investigation by Reuters found 5 living U.S. presidents and at least 100 members of the last Congress are all direct descendants of slaveholders.
What does that say to you about the legacy of slavery in this country?
It says that power is passed down intergenerationally. It's not to demonize anyone for the past, but things get passed down.
Through the Reuters investigation, Lucretia discovered her ancestors were enslaved by families whose direct descendant is Republican Congressman Brett Guthrie of Kentucky. NBC News made repeated attempts to speak with the congressman. He did not respond.
I come from a legacy of teachers and farmers, and I think education is an incredible legacy, but that doesn't necessarily come with it vast amounts of economic power, political power.
After emancipation, while both families did face their share of struggles and successes, Reuters' analysis of thousands of pages of public records shows that for Lucretia's family, the Craigs, often a hard-won advance was followed by a devastating setback. When the Great Depression left both families in debt, the Guthries found protection in bankruptcy, an option not available to many Black families at the time. The Craigs were forced to sell land to the state. Decades later, in Nashville, it happened again. Lucretia's cousin, Ronnie Miller, lives in what was once a vibrant business district run by Black families. His was one of them.
They had a grocery store, they had a restaurant, they had an ice cream parlor. They had a whole block just about.
But the city claimed that land to make room for new businesses and the construction of an interstate.
For them, it was devastating.
That same highway helped birth the Guthrie family's multi-million-dollar auto parts company in Kentucky. Both Ronnie and Lucretia say they don't fault anyone today for the actions of those long gone.
But I would ask, how are you making sense of what you're learning? How will this shape your decisions going forward?
And Lucretia says that work still has a long way to go in the classroom and in Congress. Blaine Alexander, NBC News, Linden, Tennessee.
Looking backwards and looking forward. Blaine Alexander, thanks so much. And coming up, some of the big headlines trending around the world. Plus, later this hour, you might have to tell a robot that you pay extra for guac because they could be the ones building your burrito bowl at Chipotle pretty soon. We'll tell you about that next. And it is time now for the future of everything. So attention, carnivores, because your Chipotle burrito may soon be put together by a robot. The chain announced yesterday that they're testing out this new automated make line for digital orders, and this is how it goes. You pick what ingredients you want, they drop it down the bowl, then the robot sends it back up to where human employees will then roll that burrito themselves, because that's the hard part, The goal is to have robots working with humans rather than replacing them. At least that's what they always say. And all of this is currently being tested in Irvine, California, but it's expected to roll out in other SoCal locations in the next few months. And Meta is considering charging their users, at least those in Europe. They want to charge Europeans $14 a month to use Instagram without ads and $17 a month for Facebook, too. Basically, they're saying if you don't want Meta to use your IG data for personalized ads, then you got to pay for it. And if you thought Netflix was done raising prices, well, you thought wrong, because the streaming service is going to be more expensive. Netflix is planning on raising the price of its ad-free plan shortly after the ongoing writers' strike, or actors' strike ends, rather. And that's according to the Wall Street Journal. But they haven't said how much or exactly when the prices are going to go up. But those changes will likely start here in the United States and Canada. And stricter laws, mental health screenings, background checks, those are all things that we talk about as possible ways to prevent mass shootings in schools. But what if AI could actually help save lives? Hundreds of schools are already relying on AI to keep students safe, and NBC's Rahima Ellis has that story.
At Rancocas Valley Regional High School in New Jersey, there's more to these cameras than meets the eye. This school is one of hundreds across the country now using Zero Eyes, a human-verified artificial intelligence system designed to detect guns and combat mass shootings. Here's how it works. It uses existing security cameras coupled with the company's AI trained to detect guns, plus a team of military experts working around the clock to alert authorities before any shots are fired. Critical because, according to the FBI, 60% of active shooter events end before police arrive. Rob Huberty co-founded Zero Eyes.
You can't watch all the cameras all the time. So we're watching behind the scenes for you.
The Zero Eyes team demonstrated their technology using fake guns in an empty part of the school before students returned from summer break.
I have a true positive detection.
Copy. Local law enforcement is en route.
We also had a camera at their Pennsylvania Operations Center, so you could see how they respond at the same time.
This is Zero Eyes Operations Center.
Look at this. The man on screen is only in the school's side door for a few seconds. And screen right, the moment his fake gun is revealed, the Zero Eyes AI detects it, and this image is displayed on the operator's monitor. That's when the team springs into action, first with those trained experts verifying the threat.
True positive.
Dispatch alert.
Dispatching alert.
Call point of contact.
Then immediately alerting school security and police with phone calls and texts.
Getting more alerts as we're doing this.
And it all happened before the shooter could even get in the hallway to fire a shot. You can follow this person with the gun throughout the school, wherever there's a camera.
As long as their gun is brandished.
But it's not foolproof. The technology cannot detect guns that are hidden or anywhere without a camera. Then what do?
Good security comes in layers. Do I think we can really help in certain situations? Absolutely. But are we the end-all, be-all? No.
For School Superintendent Christopher Heilig, every extra layer of protection is critical. Does it make you sleep a little easier at night, knowing what the next day might bring? You are secure?
Absolutely. The first thing that we think about as superintendents, as administrators, is safety and security.
But the technology has applications beyond just education. It looks like I'm at another school right now, but actually I'm in front of a green screen that's used to train the AI to recognize guns in school environments. But it can also be used in other settings, like a mall, public transit, even a casino. Back at the high school, teachers like Aaron Matteo say the Zero Eyes services are worth the cost, which can run up to $50 per camera per month.
I think anything that's going to save lives is always worth it.
As classes start across the country, added security and more peace of mind. Rahima Ellis, NBC News, Conshohocken, Pennsylvania.
Some fascinating technology there. Rahima Ellis, thanks so much. And finally tonight, as part of our Hispanic Heritage Month, we are taking a close look at the legendary Porto's Bakery right here in L.A. You know the one, that Cuban bake shop that always has a line out the door. And trust me, there is a very delicious reason for it. Take a look.
It's not your normal business. I mean, it's different. It's just something unique that we don't even know how to explain it.
Porto's Bakery has been a Los Angeles institution for nearly 50 years. It's owned by the Porto family, Margarita, Raul Jr., and Betty Porto, who carry a legacy that began on an island during a very different time. This was something that was born in Cuba, right? How did this start?
I remember being a little girl, and my mom would make cakes for us just for fun, you know. So when Castro comes to power and neither one of them has a job, my dad goes to a labor camp away from the home. My mama has to kind of reinvent herself.
In the midst of 1960s communist Cuba, to make ends meet, their mother Rosa began the underground business of baking right in the family's kitchen.
So it really neighbors and friends knew that she knew how to make cakes, and that's how she started. It wasn't something that she was planning to do, but she just kind of had to jump into it in order to survive.
In Cuba, making cakes and selling them, I mean, that was dangerous, right?
It was illegal because all private property and private business were closed down. And so if he would have been caught, back in those days, it was 25 years in jail.
Then came a hope of a different life via the freedom flights from Cuba to Miami. So one day in 1971, Rosa and her husband Raul Sr. gathered their 3 children with nothing but the clothing on their backs and boarded a plane and left Cuba forever. Do you remember the day that you left?
I remember my best friend, the bus was leaving and she chased, you know, waving at me. That's what I remember.
And when we came into the airport, there was maybe 100 people that, you know, that were leaving on the same flight to Miami. So I could feel the tension in the room as a kid. I mean, I'll never forget that.
The family settled in California, and within a few years, Rosa opened the first Porto's Bakery, with the whole family pitching in.
We were just trying to have one shop, be successful, and survive, and be able to buy a house one day.
Porto's allure usually starts with a craving for their famous potato balls or guava cheese strudels, and that quickly gives way to their countless cakes, pastries, empanadas, Cuban sandwiches, and specialties. One store led to more, and soon Rosa had started what she hoped would be a family empire.
She wanted us to go to school, to get an education. She didn't realize it until we graduated, and then we decided to start on board. Then she became the opposite. She would tell the children, okay, I built this for you, when are you coming in?
We all enjoyed something in the business, and we liked working alongside them. And then after we graduated from college, we all decided, why should I go anywhere else? And this is something that is great.
The siblings took over the business, and Rosa Porto retired in 2003. Today, with 6 locations in Southern California, the next generation of Portos are already in the mix. Raul's son, Adrian, is a chef.
Butter, ham, pork. 3 pickles, no more, no less. I've been told if it's not 3 pickles, it's not a Cuban sandwich. Got it.
Margarita's son, Diego, is also a chef and a master of all things pastry.
My grandmother was like another mother. I see her and everything. I think about her every day. There you go. Not bad.
Mine doesn't look like yours.
No, it's okay. It takes practice.
If you had to sum it up, what is the magic?
The magic is the fact that people can taste the love that we put into everything we do.
And nothing says I love you in Los Angeles like a box of Portos. That does it for us tonight. I'm Gadi Schwartz. We'll see you tomorrow. But until then, stay tuned.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.